Please do, Malcolm.
As I nominated or invited Mohsen to give the seminar, I'm the one who'll be introducing him, and I know Mohsen really well. He came to my group at the comminution group at the JKMRC as an experienced researcher who had a PhD and had done a lot of site work, in fact, more than I realized at the time. So I was running multiple students on different sites simultaneously, and so came actually even with a higher level of capability than I'd expected, and really made a good fit to the JK Centre because of his view of applied work, site-based, experiential work, that suited me well because Mohsen's always been interested in the science underlying it. So I've never been one to bypass the science and just try it out and see if it works. So that we've worked extremely well together and done a lot of jobs together, both some consulting in the past, but lots of research. And I did get the P9 up and then handed it over to him, and I don't know if he'll ever forgive me, but he became the P9 project manager. So Mohsen's really been dedicated and proactive, and I think the work he's going to present tonight comes out of that because of his desire to be connected to site, and that he's done for a long time remote site connection. It's not actually new to Mohsen. And I've been with him in Iran, going around the sites he's at, with great respect for the work he's done, and fanatically traveling everywhere when he could. So he's had a good rest for a year now. Yes. So maybe, I think he was trying to outcompete me for miles and hours in planes. And the greatest thing Mohsen has done is he took over the group. So I was looking to move out, and here I had someone fantastic to take over. So Mohsen actually took over the comminution. And he did the wise thing, same as Aubrey Mainzer when he took over from me at Cape Town. He's got his own identity and his own path. He's not trying to do what I did. So he's wisely doing his own. And his strength is very much around technology and innovation in using technology, which is one of the routes one of the aspects of his work Mohsen will present tonight. So the other thing is that Mohsen has been invited to, is now becoming a full member of the GCC. So we are slowly expanding. So in a way, well, I didn't put it this way to Mohsen, it's like his new member seminar, like any learned society would have. I didn't warn him of it, so better be good. Okay, thanks, Mohsen, over to you.
No, thank you very much, Malcolm. It was a very good introduction, and it's basically an honor working with you and getting all of these compliments from you. I hope that actually I do a good job to deserve that. And thanks for everybody to join the seminar. I'm hoping that actually this become a good, interesting seminar for you as well, wherever you are. So I think the topic is about being able to support sites remotely, and I call it new normal because given the current situation that we are in, and Magnus was talking about that, and we have been chatting about basically missing the opportunity to go to site and physically be there. So I think this is kind of start becoming a new normal for us to be able to be on site virtually. And as Malcolm mentioned, for me, this is kind of expanding the previous experience that I had, because I've been working with Iranian mining companies back in my home country. And because I couldn't travel every time, so still I've been basically being involved with those sites, working with them remotely, talking with the students, managing them. But through presentation tonight, I will show you some of the technologies that actually essentially has been in the market and people have been using them in other areas. And I suppose with the current situation, it's gained more attraction in the mining industry as well, and people have started using them. But we have been trying to pioneer that in Australia and use that. So the work that I'm presenting, actually, we had a number of people help me with basically with this work, and they have been involved. So I put all of their name in here, and I should acknowledge them essentially that they helped with this work. So it's not only my work, but I got the honor to present that. So I think I will go very quickly about basically why we needed to come up with this idea, and then give you a little bit of a background about the trial that we have done initially with Mount Isa mine using very simple technology. And then I explain how we learn from that, and then we move to smart glasses technology. And I wanted to show you a little bit of the smart glasses technology as well and how it works. Probably it's a simple video. I was planning to do a kind of a demo, but for the interest of the time, I just abandoned that one because sometimes it's basically very hard to manage it within the time. So I think, as I mentioned, the current situation and the COVID situation actually and the lockdown forced us to go to this new way of thinking and doing the work. I understand, I mean, most of you guys are practitioners, same as me. I never replace being on site and traveling to site with anything else, because I think being physically present in the place and feel and touch stuff and understand it, it's basically, it's the best experience, and it's going to help us to deliver more value. But when the lockdown situation happened, still the need was there. So the site people wanted to us to support them, and we couldn't basically travel and physically be there. So I think that was the main reason that actually forced us to start thinking about a different way of interaction with site, and started thinking more innovative. And I think this is a great quote that actually Lisette put it in here, and she's very fan of that. So essentially, in life, change is inevitable, but for the business, essentially, you have to change. Otherwise, you won't basically stay alive. And with the current situation, we had to start rethinking the need and move forward. So I think one of the greatest motivation for us to get to that point, I mean, we have been talking before the opportunity came in at JK, talking about the current situation happening. I remember actually we had a meeting March last year discussing about, okay, this is the current situation, we can't travel, how it's going to affect our business and what we should do, and then how the world post-COVID is look like. And then suddenly opportunity came with Glencore in Mount Isa that actually we have been planning with them to do a plant survey at that time for a long time. And obviously they couldn't stop that and they wanted to go ahead. But in March last year, actually, it was a complete lockdown in Queensland and you couldn't travel anywhere. So then we started thinking about, okay, how we can actually work with site if we can't travel. So what's the method? And eventually we managed to have lots of discussion and encourage them to essentially get our experts remotely to help them with the survey. And then once we agreed with that methodology to be able to deliver remotely, I think the question came into, okay, what type of technology, how we want to be able to do that type of survey. And then you started talking about, okay, so what are the things actually we need to have in as a features of the tool that we want to use for doing remote site survey and trials. And I think the key part was for us actually was something that actually is easy to set up. It's quick because at the time we couldn't actually commit to purchasing the stuff because of the lockdown. Shipment was very slow. It was taking a long time to purchase the stuff, even within Australia. Obviously, the cost was a big driver as well. And being on site, we wanted to make sure that it's something that is safe and it's robust for site people to use it. So then we can pass the safety requirement as well. So those were some of the features that actually we have been thinking. So then we can get away and start using that. And I think what happened was actually Rick because Rick Valenter is essentially our center director, and he was very much into technology as well. So I mean, whenever I go to his office, he got lots of gadgets actually around. So he took that initiative and started playing with his iPhone, as you can see in this picture, with some mounting stuff that actually you can put in your helmet. And then we started essentially playing with Zoom in iPhone. And then you can see in this picture, Lisette actually connecting to Rick when he's in a pilot plan, and started basically trialing those communication in our JK pilot plan before we deploy stuff to site. So I think that was the simplest way, fastest way that we could do, and essentially the cheapest way, but yet safe and effective. So our idea was actually, okay, we mounted on a helmet, so it's basically hands-free, people won't be distracted, and then the only thing they need is connecting to the Zoom, and then the person remote can interact with the person on site. As you can see, they have to put the earplug and do that. So that was the main basically idea behind this work. So we were planning to use the existing conference call device softwares. Initially, we thought about Zoom, and then some of the sites, they are not happy with actually Zoom, so they prefer Microsoft Teams. So we were free to use that one as well. But the idea was to use mobile phone. We have been lucky because Mount Isa, mine actually is next to Mount Isa town, so there was a mobile reception as well. So in terms of internet connection wasn't the problem, because we needed to make sure that actually we need mobile coverage. And then in terms of being hands-free, managing with the PPE, and also being water and dust resistant, most of the mobiles these days are basically have those features in terms of being water and dust resistant. And then when you mount it to your hard hat, that covers the work as well. And then with that, we essentially did a little bit of a discussion with the site people. Planning was a big thing, because especially I think what we learned was if we haven't been on site before and we didn't know about the site before and we didn't interact with people beforehand, probably doing it this way wouldn't be successful. So we needed a little bit of, that experience that previously we had with the site was very helpful to be able to organize a successful remote site trial. But still, we had to do a number of workshops with people, make sure that people that they are going to run the survey, they understand their role and the planning and the timing of the stuff. Because obviously, when you're not there, you don't have much control in terms of what people are doing, and you don't have a great visibility as well. And you cannot just walk from office to the plant and just talk with the people and make sure that they know what they do. So we had to do lots of previous discussion and arrangement and make sure that actually everybody knows that. And then doing a dry run, essentially using that remote technology to make sure that actually when we remotely communicate with people, what are the things that actually might go wrong before we go into the actual trial was very helpful, because that practice run helped us to know some of the issues. And I think the most important ones that we found from that trial was actually the quality of the audio communication was very important, and it was essentially critical, because especially you are in a noisy environment when you are inside the plant, and people that they were removed, they could hear the person on site clearly, because most of the microphones these days, even in a mobile phone, they have noise cancellation. So it was easy for us to hear the person on site, but it wasn't the same for the person on site to hear us very clear, because it was in a very noisy environment. The quality of the earplugs wasn't very good. So we had lots of issues in that space. But eventually we had that interaction with the site people, and we managed to successfully conduct that survey with site personnel. And essentially that ended up in some of the newsletters in terms of, and at that time, this was a very hot topic because it was middle of pandemic. So we managed to conduct a survey. The good point was actually we had a mobile phones that mounted to a hard hat that actually for the people that they were doing actual sampling. And then in a lab, we had a GoPro actually set up in the lab because they, at the same time, they were doing hot float as well, just to make sure that the person doing the hot float in the lab does it in the right way. And for the flotation people, it's very critical in terms of doing it in a proper way, because the data is very important. And I think the advantage of doing this one was we managed to do the work, prevent some of the issues when the trial was happening, because there were some issues around how to take the sample and where to take the sample that people sitting remote managed to communicate that at the time of the survey to make sure that actually the sampling is happened correctly. And also some advice to the person was doing in the hot float to make sure that the hot float was done correctly as well. And I think when I was talking with Lisette, her point was actually being able to connect to the site save this trial, because if we wouldn't basically connect and let them to do that themselves, with those issues that we observed at the time of the trial and we managed to correct them, if they would have occurred, then the data wasn't basically useful. So this was very helpful to do and helped us to learn a lot about the whole work. And I think what I learned from that interaction was actually find out some of the drawbacks of the way that we use these technology, especially the mobile phone, because the people they were hesitant to use their own mobile phone. Obviously, I understand it, because there's a chance to damage those mobile phone. The site safety people, they weren't very keen to use mobile phone on site and attached to their helmet, because it wasn't like a properly set up in within the safety gears. And then the quality of the communication wasn't that great. And that actually pushed me toward use of the thinking about the better technology. And I've been basically interacting with companies that they had a smart glasses technology for a while. I mean, 2 years back in Brisbane, there was an exhibition, and I went there and I basically trialed these smart glasses at the time. But then when I started linking into the mining and talking about this one, I didn't find a great interest to use this technology in the mining space. So people, they weren't very basically keen to use it. And I suppose at that time, there wasn't really the need, wasn't there. But once this trial happened and I found all of those issues, I started looking seriously into these smart glasses technology. So I've done a good market research, looked into different type of smart glasses that is out there. And I was very surprised actually so many brands and types of these smart glasses technology are available in the market, which was great because it gives me more choice to choose which one is the right one. And then based on all of the basically research that I've done around the specification of the device, basically the power of the processor, the quality of the video camera, the quality of the sound, the features that it provides, being lightweight, being able to fit it within the safety gears, I came up with a smart glass technology it's a Vuzix M400, which basically had a reasonable price. And when I compared it with all of the products that is available, in terms of the quality of the video is top of the range, the quality of the audio is top of the range as well, and the microphone and noise cancellation technique that they have is almost top of the range as well. And the price was very reasonable in terms of price as well. So I basically acquired that, but then I started facing the challenge in terms of how it fits within the safety gears that we have to wear. So obviously when you're in a plant, you have to have a helmet, you have to have an earplug, and then you have to fit this device within your safety gears. And you want to make sure that actually it doesn't feel awkward for the person to feel it. It's much easy to wear it. It's much easy to use it as well. So it was a bit of work for me. And I had to essentially purchase some accessories that actually is not kind of a standard accessories that it's provided with this smart glass, especially with the ear muffs and earplugs. So I searched the market and I had to find essentially Bluetooth earplugs that the people they can basically wear, which is their safety earplugs that is safety rated and essentially is acceptable by mining industry. But at the same time, because it's a Bluetooth earplugs, they can connect to this device and then the person remote can effectively communicate with the person on site. And then the next thing that I found a challenge was communication, because these devices are essentially, if you haven't experienced them before, they are similar to a mobile phone, especially because most of them are Android based. I didn't find any camera that actually is different. The operating system generally is Android. It's a mobile phone with a small display that actually sits in your front of your eye, and you can actually install apps, run it similar to your mobile phone essentially. And they have a feature that you can connect it to wireless network, but they don't have SIM card or something that actually you can connect it to internet. And at the time that actually we have been interacting with Mount Isa, we found that actually sites are very hesitant in terms of allowing access to external devices that is not approved by their IT system, or it's not set up by the IT system to connect to their network. So that was one of the key issues. So I started actually looking into some more Wi-Fi modems that they are portable and small, to be able to use my own SIM card with the data, so then I can pair it with the smart glasses technology. So then essentially that smart glass can run independent of the system. So let me just quickly show some of the features of that smart glass. So this is essentially the view of the smart glass. So the way that it works, at the moment, this one is just set up in a like an empty frame of glasses. So it doesn't have anything, but only it's sitting there so you can wear it easily when you're not on site. It has a battery that actually connects to the smart glass itself. So the main unit is in here. It got a camera in the front, a flash that actually it can turn on when somewhere is dark. Generally, it's these smart glasses are the camera are wide angle, so you can have a good field of view. And then they got the microphone either side, so one in front and one in the back. The one in the front actually captures the environment, basically voice sound, and then the front the back microphone actually captures the person voice when they're talking. They got a speaker inside as well, so if you don't have earplug, you can clearly hear through the speaker of the device. But obviously, when you're on site and you have earplug, it's very hard to hear. So that's why we needed a Bluetooth earplug, so then we can communicate. And then when you want to fit it with your safety gears, you can either fit it within your safety glasses because they got a fixture that actually you can connect it to your smart glasses, or you can connect it to your hard hat as well. And I found that actually connecting it to the hard hat is much easier because the whole weight will sit in hard hat and you don't feel much tired. From inside, you got a very small display that person on site can watch stuff inside that display as well. So like if you got a document or something that you want to share, you can actually share there. But it was very interesting because it's not really obstructing the field of view of the person. It's not distractive as well. And initially I was suspicious that actually probably is not very easy to watch stuff inside that tiny display. But I was amazed that actually it's very easy. So I could actually test sharing some document, and you can basically easily observe those stuff. So this one actually, and many of those smart glasses are voice activated as well. It means that actually you don't need really to use your hand to control the devices. Normally with voice, you can actually command the device and then the device does stuff. But at the same time, they got the hard buttons in here, like these 3 buttons. One of them is, 2 of them are for scrolling, and the other one is for essentially selection. And then they got the touch screen on the side as well that actually, without using these buttons, you can use this touch point, and by touching, you scroll, and double tapping, you can select stuff as well. So quite advanced in that sense, and they are well thought in terms of the features that they have to provide. And then essentially by adding those stuff that I mentioned, having a Wi-Fi modem and an earplug, I managed to make it completely self-sufficient, standalone. And in fact, when I was doing a trial in New South Wales with these smart glasses with JK Tech, what we have done was actually we fully set up the device. Even the meeting invites and everything was completely set up in the device. So then the person on site, even if they are not much comfortable with the new technologies, they didn't need to do much. The only thing that they needed to know was pressing this button and turning the device on. And it was automatically connecting to the modem and then basically connected to the network. And then the moment this device is online, the person removed can see that actually the device is ready, and just they make a connection to the device and they can actually run it. Let me just, before I go, I just show a quick video about the trial that we have done in JK. So this is essentially a comrade wearing small glasses in front of them, and I was trying to help you to this is a view from the smart glass that actually, when I was sitting in the office, I could see what they are doing, and then I would communicate with them. So they were showing me how they set up the meet. And then when they run the meet, I was basically communicating with them when the meal was running. So this is the time actually they were showing me the software and I was looking into the setup of the meal and how they are running. The interesting feature is the quality of the video is very good. So the camera actually has 7 times zoom, optical zoom, that actually you can zoom in. And in here, I think if I don't stop it, when they zoom, the video unfortunately is very short, but you can actually read the numbers visually. So it's very easy to interact if you need it basically to get information as well. And then you can at the same time share information with the person on site if you want to show some of this stuff to them as well. Okay, so to me, when we started doing this stuff, I started engaging with a couple of companies. Like there were few mining companies and few equipment suppliers that they were very keen to use the technology. I mean, I published some articles in LinkedIn, and then I started immediately getting interest last year. People wanted to know more, and then we started engaging with a couple of groups. I shared my smart glasses so they can trial some of these work. And then some of the mining companies actually, in fact, commissioned us to set up the smart glass technology for them and deploy that so they can trial it. But I think there were many use cases that I found people there interested. So essentially doing site trials remotely and being able to have experts sitting somewhere in the world, helping them with the trial and sampling was one of the big things that I found. Managing the laboratory test works was something else that actually people were very keen. Essentially, we tried it with Montizer as well. And then I started finding actually there are lots of other use cases with the advances that happened in the software area, which I'm talking about them very shortly. So equipment inspection, already there are some software packages that are specifically designed with these smart glasses that actually when people, they want to do like maintenance inspection. So you can actually provide them with a workflow and that sits in their display, and that automatically direct them in terms of where to go, what type of evidence they have to collect, what type of measurement. You can take photo evidences that you need, and that software automatically actually creates the survey report. Essentially just puts the pictures and then you can put like a voice recording of the person that who does the inspection as a evidence that actually to document their observation. And then all of that is communicated through cloud, and it's basically already prepared as a document for reporting maintenance inspection. And already people, they are using them. And then I started finding out that actually there are software packages that are available that allows the remote person to remotely control the whole smart glass as well. So there are packages that actually, then it doesn't need the person on site to interact with the smart glass. So I, as a person that's sitting remotely, I can actually zoom in, I can take photos, I can record videos. The only thing is I can direct the person to points that I want him to, I want to take evidence, and then I can remotely do that as well, which is great advantage. And then the next level, which is now they're well advanced, there are some application developers actually started developing connections with Internet of Things as well. So essentially, I was working with the group in here, AVR Lab. I'm working with them actually. So we are in a phase of developing some sensors. At the moment, as a prototype, we started using a vibration sensor that we attach to the equipment, and that is Bluetooth enabled. And what it does, it automatically searches the environment for any Bluetooth devices, which is this, basically, they have the app that we set up, which is essentially would be a smart glass. And then it can communicate with that smart glass and relay vibration information that they collect. And then the next thing that we added is actually, we added an AI system that actually what it does, it can, through the video capture of the smart glasses, it can identify equipment and also identify that actually, oh, there is a sensor in here that I know of. And then it can communicate with that sensor and get information as well. So they become very interesting in terms of the features that they have for communicating with sensors on site and collect information, which that means actually if a person walking on site with the smart glasses technology, they can actually communicate with the equipments and get information as they walk through as well. And then using those features in terms of documenting their observation, they can actually record videos, take photos, record their voices as well as kind of an observation as well. And in fact, we have been talking with Aubrey about being able potentially to use these devices to create content for even teaching as well. Like people like Magnus, Malcolm, Marcelo, that when they go to sites, they got a great insight in terms of the equipment and how they're performing. So if you got a smart glasses technology with them, so as they observe, they can actually narrate what they are observing and what's the implication of the voice that they hear or the thing that they observe. So then we can document that, and then all of that can be used for training as well. So to me, it's a great opportunity out there that people can use that. And that's I think becomes, with all of these features, it's going to become a new normal for us to basically use this technology with all of the features that it has. And if I want to compare it, I would say that actually it becomes very similar to drone technology. So drone, when they come to the mining, actually opened up an enormous opportunity. And now, every now and then, you will find a new use case for drones that actually people are using them for doing the stuff that actually in the past it was much harder. And I believe this is going to be the same thing. So, and it was very interesting because when I was reading, I came up with this article that Romero and the co-author in 2016 they published, and they put the concept of operator 4.0, and you can see they put the topography and nicely used Legos for that, but they had the virtual operators essentially that they sit outside, but they can interact with site through this smart glasses technology. And I think this essentially this new normal helped us to create that. So I think the benefits of using this type of technology is few things. First of all, we can actually have effective interaction with site without traveling there. But to me, there's another advantage. I mean, most of you guys are missing travels, and I'm same. I'm missing travel as well. But I think being able to sit in home, not travel, be with your family, but at the same time being able to interact with site people and feel that you're on site and work with them is a great opportunity. And that's something that actually smart glasses technology can bring. And it has enormous cost saving and safety implications as well. So we don't have to fly people and mobilize them from around the world to work with us. So essentially, while they are in comfort of their home or their office in their hometown, we can actually engage with them and get them to be involved. So in terms of timing of the activities and all of that, we can sort it out. Obviously, the time zone difference is one of the challenges that we have to come up with, but still, we don't have to wait for making sure that actually we can travel the person to site and coordinate all of that. Then access to site, we know that actually you have to go through lots of training. There are some safety implications when you are on site, especially as an external person. So essentially by removing that person and sitting, using it remotely, we take out all of those issues as well. And at the moment, actually, I'm talking with a company in Western Australia that they are a consulting company. And we are working together with one of their clients to start establishing this smart glasses technology as a kind of a business model for them, because they think that they can now use this technology to provide expert support to their clients that they are mining and oil and gas companies without mobilizing world experts from universities and consulting to their site. Because previously they used to connect experts to the site and then mobilize them to the site, but now they want to use this technology. So we are working with them to find out how it's going to pan out. So I think, again, one of the other aspects that I found is we did a survey last year, and we found actually most of the people or mining companies, they thinking about putting people removed from sites. And already you probably heard about zero entry, basically people or areas that actually that no people is in the mining. And I think, again, this virtual operator, it would be a feature that actually people will require because it's going to enable us to do this type of stuff. So again, that's essentially another opportunity there. Obviously, with any technology, there are stuff that actually, or challenges that we have to address as well. And this is the same. So I think one of the key points that I found is about being able, because this is pretty much new in the mining industry. So we never had used these technologies very seriously on site. And I found that actually we don't have proper legislations and procedure for being able to use this stuff, especially around the safety. So we have to be able to thoroughly review these stuff and understand what are the essentially potential hazards when people wear these stuff, how we can control and manage them, and then make sure that we put them as kind of a standard practice on site. So then it's not becoming subjective to site. So we have like a kind of a common way to do that. Especially, I mean, I know lots of sites, they have policies around live streaming data and information. There are privacy issues, especially when you're video recording or live streaming the data, and probably people will be in that area. So we have to think about those stuff as well. So those are some of the challenges. The other thing that I found still is a weakness, although we have lots of advances, but online collaboration platforms, they are not specifically designed for remote experts collaboration. So we've got obviously these great meeting tools for meeting with people, sharing slides and collaborating. But there are features, especially with people that they are on site or they are interacting through the smart glasses, that they're specific to these type of activities. So I think we need to start looking into some platforms that actually allows us to do this type of collaborative, especially around remote site support, like being able to share some of the operational data at the same time, optimizing the display for the small displays in smart glasses technology, the quality of the communication, especially when you go to sites, remote operations, they don't have like a good internet connection, and then the quality of the video becomes an issue, or the quality of the voice, the latency. So those stuff actually in a collaboration platform needs to be addressed. And the connection, especially the internet, is one of them. And the cybersecurity obviously is always a concern. I mean, it's not very new, but I mean, they are very safe up to a standard that people they have, but I think we have to be aware of those, because this essentially gives access to people to live information. And I think I had to go through lots of effort in terms of being able to fit those accessories to make the whole smart glasses technology with the PPE that we have to wear in the mining environment to make that tool effective. And I've been talking with especially the Vuzix provider in terms of some of the features that they have to add. So then we can design these tools to be more convenient to use in the mining application. I think that was one of the lacking part of these tools. And the other thing is essentially around being able to do multi-party collaboration. So I've been trialing some of the software packages that basic companies develop that actually allows for smart glasses to connect with multiple experts. But I found that actually they are a little bit clumsy in some aspects. So like when one person starts talking, the other person disappears, or they kind of basically mix the voices together and the person remote cannot understand. So those softwares are not very great in terms of having multi-party interaction. I mean, all of us have experience when we have online meetings. If somebody starts opening the microphone and the noise in the background, the whole meeting actually kind of stalls because there's an issue. That's the same thing. So I think we need to, still that platform needs to have those capabilities. But these are the opportunities for us as a researchers to start looking into them and starting addressing some of those in collaboration with the technology providers, platform providers, and us as the researchers. I think, to me, if I want to summarize all of that, I think it's enough of me talking, and I would be very keen to hear your comments. Essentially, I think with the current situation helped us to fast track implementation of this remote technology, which I'm very glad, because I've been looking into that for many years, and then the COVID came in, and then actually it helped us to fast track. So we have been trialing a number of sites, and now I'm talking with a number of companies, and I have basically ongoing interaction with them to start using this technology. I think this was a very useful tool for us, because we managed to maintain our engagement and deliver our research to site people at the time that actually it was heavily locked down and we couldn't do anything, but still we managed to do that. And I think we did a simple and cost-effective version, and then we've identified basically the issues, and then we find the technology. And I think to me, that was a very good pathway. Instead of going and investing lots of money to buy the technology that actually then down the track we might find, oh, it's not really working. We did it stepwise in terms of start with simple work, find out what's the requirement, and then go to the next step, which helped us to fast track. And I think this opens up lots of opportunity. I put some of the stuff that actually I thought would be useful. I think you guys can imagine what else can be done, and I think that's a big opportunity for us. Basically, that essentially is going to help us to fast track remote operators as well. I think that would be the new normal. To me, as I said, the main challenge is having a real, basically a robust technology, especially around communication, probably would be the important one that actually we need to think about. And to me, the next level, in addition to being able to do remote support, is being able to now link it to the smart sensors and get live data and interact would be the next thing I think we should work and think about that. Yep, so I have to thank Glencore for helping us, allowing us to do the first trial, I think, which was very interesting, and also SMI for supporting me to buy this technology, because although it was basically affordable cost, but I don't think it was for me personally to be able to buy that, which was very useful. Thank you very much for your attention. I think, and I really thank GCC for giving me the opportunity to present. I'm happy now to hear your comments and questions.
Thanks, Mohsen. That was really quite fascinating, and a facilitator, should we say, of our work. And maybe we won't be on as many planes, but I did enjoy, I appreciate your comment that you start off by being live. You actually should meet the people and see the environment live first, and then use this to supplement it. Maybe I'm the over 60 crew now, and I'm skeptical. You know, if you do try and achieve everything remote, I've just been doing some, not with such good technology, and really struggling with simple things. They need a pair of these glasses with a So we can take questions. You can put your hand up, figurative hand, or you can just switch your microphone on, which then if you unmute, it makes it clear that you're wishing to ask a question. So Tony Animadio,
I see
your hand is up.
Tony has raised his hand. Tony.
Yeah, yes, fascinating topic. Thank you. Thanks, Malcolm. Thanks, Mohsen. Just a quick comment and then a question. I think COVID with all its problems actually has given us the opportunity, and that's obvious. So well done with your attempts. Now the question is, does it, from your experience, the little experience you've got now with this technology, does it help that you already knew the site? I just want to understand that with how easy or cumbersome it is if it's a completely new site from the experience that you've gathered so far.
I think, from my experience, if the site's completely new, it would be a little bit harder for us, especially for the remote expert, to get a good feeling. And maybe my thinking is, if it's basically essential to use it, probably it's worth, before attempting any trial or any survey, maybe even use the technology to give an overview of the site, like a tour of the site, so the person can understand the situation. Because when you want to use it in anger, when you're doing a trial, so there are lots of pressure. And if you don't have a good feeling and appreciation of the site, probably there are many things that is going to go wrong. But I think what I found was effective in Mount Isa case was actually, previously we have been on site. We knew actually the whole site from basically inside out. And we interacted with people before as well. And I think that people interaction and knowing the site was one of the key features to make sure that actually we can deliver something basically useful and valuable. If you do it from scratch, probably you will face lots of challenges, I would say. We cannot rely everything on remote.
Thank you. Thanks, Mohsen.
Yeah. I see, Mehdi, I think you're up next.
Yes. Thanks, Mohsen. That was amazing, actually. I really enjoyed that you did this successfully. My belief actually was the same. I exactly remember 3 years ago in one interview that I had for the job of they wants to do modeling or something for a big company. Actually, I told me what will be the future. I told them, and they wants to do very sophisticated modeling. I say actually the first part for future it will be developing some online sensoring and developing some technology that we can remove from outside. This is the way forward. And actually they laugh and said, no, we don't, these things will never happen. And I'm so happy that it's happened so quick. And they know that actually those things that we said in the before, now with this pandemic, it's very fast and it's happening. And I believe what you say, if it's cost effective, which it is, as you mentioned, and it's safe, definitely it will grow very fast in future.
Yes.
Definitely will be a lot of resistance from some company, but this is the way forward. If they not use it, basically they will lose the battle compared to those ones that they're trying to use. I just want to say, yeah, I really enjoyed to see how fast these things improving, and well done.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the comment.
Thanks. Marcelo, you
Marcelo
had a question?
Yes, Mohsen. Yes, indeed, fantastic presentation there. You know, it's one of those topics that when we saw the pandemic starting last year, and we saw that things were going to take quite a while, I kind of personally hope that really hope somebody really tackles this early on, because you see, as GCC being an international group, we are already suffering quite a bit from not interacting in person and doing things on site. So I'm really happy that somebody that close to GCC and now in GCC has this level of expertise. Fantastic one. And just a simple, obvious question, which is, you say affordable, but let's say you're doing a survey with half a dozen people or so with all these gears. Can I just put a price tag just for us to have a ballpark value there for being able to do with proper the latest technology that you check?
So I think if I want to, like, in terms of the smart glasses technology, at the moment, I mean, with all of the experience that I had, obviously I spent a little bit more to get all of the gears, but one set that actually you can set up properly, it costs around 3,500 Australian dollars. So I was thinking, like, if you do a survey properly, then probably you need at least 3 sets, like the type of surveys that we do at GCC. So you need probably one sitting in a control room, one basically being in a, 2 being in a site and basically communicating with people. So probably you need something around, I would say, 11 grand. So to be able to basically set up the system and run it. And to me, I think, if you want to travel, assuming that like you want to travel 3 people from Australia to, let's say, Brazil or Peru to do the site survey, it would be way more than that. So that's type of kind of a basically figure that I can basically give in terms of how cost effective would be.
Excellent, thank you.
But to me, Marcelo, I think what would be interesting, and I think this is work very well with GCC, is about being able to not mobilize everybody. So like, for instance, if you want to do the survey in South Africa, so Aubrey's team and UCT team is there. So you have physical person present in there, but then like I don't have to travel, or Malcolm or you don't have to travel all the way to South Africa. We can actually use the smart glass technology. And then same, when it comes to Brazil, your team will be on site and then we will connect through that smart glass. And I think actually that will be very effective, because we sort out the issue of having one person or few person physically present there, that actually they can be sorting out the stuff that actually should be done physically. And then you got experts that actually they interact with site remotely and they can provide advice as well without traveling to site.
Okay, Benoit.
Yeah.
Clement,
Yes. I have just a question. A very good paper, Mohsen. I'm just wondering, it's not very technical what I'm asking. It's about what you mentioned, the procedures and policy for live streaming. You know, we have kids at school and you know very well how it goes. And in many environment, how do you estimate? Because in terms of these barriers because you need to move ahead and make sure that you can go with your smart glass on site and take what you want to take, or how do you estimate what will be the the challenge and how to face this challenge?
It's a perfect question, actually. I'm glad that you asked that. So to me, I've been thinking about that as well. So like, for instance, with some of the things that actually happens on site, like especially with the smart glasses, I think the main barrier is around making sure like you get permissions. Like when we go to sites all the time, we ask for permission to be able to take photos and video footages, and they basically you need that special permission. We can actually organize for those type of stuff, so we can get permission to be able to do that. The other thing is because these platforms, like when we interact with sites, especially like through these online meeting platforms, those essentially designed in a way that you make sure that the data and information stays within the group of people that you allow to have access to those information. So to me, the video streams that you provide is kind of like a planned data that you provide to those experts. So as long as it's basically bound by that connection, it won't be a problem. In terms of the privacy, what I was thinking, and that was through interaction with some of the sites that we had that as well, similar to, when we do sampling, we put barricades and people, they understand actually we're doing sampling in this space. We can create the same thing and put barricade and put signs that actually there's a recording happening here. So then the people, they understand. So they not basically enter into that area if they are not comfortable with video recording or they don't give permission. But at the same time, I was thinking actually the person who is having the smart glasses, we can make sure that actually, and that's part of the application development that I have been talking with group, that like the smart technology, if when you put it in the app, the moment it identifies people, it can actually mask them automatically. So then you actually filter them out from the video captures, even if by chance you take somebody as well. So to me, it's more about if people are willing to take that into the technology, there are methods that we can solve that, but I think we have to start thinking and discussing and putting those controls in place.
That is tricky. Okay, Grant Valentine, you had a question.
Yes.
Great presentation, Mohsen. Thanks for sharing that. We've been doing some similar activities at Azenco, and been getting great value out of them. So it's great to see that this is happening elsewhere as well. One of the things that just struck me when listening to it, and you talked a lot about it.
What was your experience?
Oh, sorry, I'll share my experience just now. One of the things that struck me was that the connection with the people is very important. And that's why you use the smart glasses rather than just getting someone to go out and take videos and send you videos to collect the data. The connection with the people is so important with the smart glasses. And I guess one of my questions would be related around how did they appreciate that connection? Was it something that they felt resentful for, in that you were micromanaging what they were doing, or how do you manage that relationship? That's kind of my first question. And the second part comes to what we've done a lot of, which has been more collecting data, less mentoring kind of instructions, but more about collecting data. And one of the things that we found very useful with that is the smart glasses, yes, to have someone on site to show us things, but then also the drone footage has been very important to bring alongside, so that we can get the layout and understand where equipment is and how it's associated. So that's been our experience. But yeah, so the question is, how do you incorporate the people so that they're not feeling resentful, that you are instructing them and micromanaging them? And how are you looking at those other technologies in terms of drone footage or something like that?
Yeah. I think, I mean, in terms of the first question, as I mentioned earlier as well, I think one of the key points was actually being on site before, having connection with people so we know each other as well. So I agree with your point in terms of if it's coming from, like, we didn't have previous connection and interaction, and then just you send the technology to them and say, okay, I'm going to basically just help you to do the survey, it's going to be felt that actually you're trying to micromanage the person, and probably it won't be very effective. What we found was actually having that workshops beforehand, talking about the stuff, actually prevented us to do lots of intervention with people as well. So it was more only interacting with them when it was needed, or when they had questions, they come back and say, how will you do that? Or now this is a situation, what's your advice? So essentially not giving them instruction, it was more about guiding them when they had problem. But obviously for that, you needed beforehand to have lots of interaction and workshops to make sure that actually everybody's comfortable with what they're doing and they know what they're doing as well. And then we use the technology just to manage situations that actually it was unforeseen, and then we can basically work them. And in terms of the data collection, I think, yeah, if you haven't been on site and you didn't have a good connection, using some of these technology like drone footages or like Google Earth or drawings and all of that is going to be helpful. So then you can get a feeling of the whole space, what's happening, and then the smart glasses technology is going to just help you to get basically more detailed information, which would be very useful. And it's very great that actually you guys are using it as well. It's very interesting.
That is great. I think we've got a chance for one more question. Jason Waters. Jason Waters, be good to hear from you.
Thanks, Malcolm. Thanks, Mohsen, for the interesting chat. I was just a technical question. I'm interested to know if are there any limitations on these glasses in terms of sort of low light conditions or high humidity type conditions? Say you want to go into the mill or something. Thanks.
I think the light would be a challenge for some of these. I mean, like the Vuzix one actually had a very good video. The camera is very good, but still, if it's a low light, it won't basically be able to physically, especially like if you go enter into the mill with all of those, like a very dark environment, probably you won't be able to see much. But in terms of the humidity and dust, some of these, I mean, most of them, they are IP6 rated, so they are kind of resistant to a certain level to dust and water and humidity. And then there are some of these glasses actually, they call it intrinsically safe. I mean, they're more expensive because they have to get all of those certification, but especially if there are areas that actually, especially in oil and gas, that they want to make sure that actually the device is intrinsically safe from the creating electrical sparks and the danger of explosion and other stuff. They provide those type of features as well, some of them, but they would be extremely expensive. Like the camera that is around 4,000, when it becomes intrinsically safe, it goes into order of 10,000. But more, I mean, most of these smart glasses that I've seen, they are IP6 rated. That actually means they kind of resistant to water and moisture up to a certain level.
Thank you.
Right, that's excellent, Mohsen. I think there are going to be many more questions coming from people, and it, as you've indicated, it does still take a bit of effort to set it up and figure out the network, and interesting you tried your own Wi-Fi hub to try and get around some of those problems. I think we're all going to encounter those and privacy issues coming onto site. So I'm looking forward to using them. My company's hoping to use them really soon. I'm really struggling with my employees in Sweden holding a mobile phone and trying to show something, which does highlight what you said at the beginning, is hands-free, I think, is essential, because someone trying to do something and hold a phone and show stuff to you is not good practice at all. I actually strongly approve of that aspect. Well, thanks for sharing with us, Mohsen. I hope you'll get some deeper inquiries as well, because
yes.
I think you've got a lot of knowledge that others are keen to get hold of or understand the challenges. And thanks everyone for joining us. Yes, Mohsen.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Right. Thanks a lot. I'll give you a live applause.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Very nice.
And we'll catch our audience again next month. We've got 2 more in this semester. be really good to connect with you all again in the next months. All right. Goodbye to
Thank you.
everyone. Thanks for
Sure.
joining
Bye,
us.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Mohsen, again. Fantastic.